So I was scrolling through the social media world and came across this post of this lovely new parent who had a 6-week-old baby and was asking about routine and schedule advice. And it just broke my heart because yet again, here is someone with an itty bitty baby who is thinking that they need to start creating these in-depth routines and schedules somehow around sleep that to make the sleep situation better. So I just needed to put this out there into the world to talk a little bit about routines and schedules and when to worry about them and when not to worry about them and when they're important and when they're not important. So I'm going to just talk about sleep because routines and schedules for other things can be different. But the first thing first, routines versus schedules. So a routine is a set of behaviors or activities that happen in the same order. And a schedule is the time of day that things happen. So I want to differentiate the difference between a routine and a schedule. If we're talking about a routine, we're talking about the things that happen in the same order leading up to something else, versus a schedule, which is what time of day things have to happen. So routines can be really lovely for a family because it creates a set of consistent things that we do in the same order. Now, your child could care less about routines until they're about 1.5 years. So routines help your child who is over 1 year and closer to 1.5 years, who has this desire to have a predictability around their life because they don't have the ability cognitively to know what's coming next, or to have any sense of time if things are not happening in a predictable way. So routines are really helpful for toddlers and preschoolers, but especially for toddlers. So we're talking about over 1 year, really closer to about 1.5 years until about 3 or 4 is when routines are really, really helpful for your young child. Your infant and especially your newborn could care less about a routine. They're not thinking about anything but what's happening in this moment. They don't care. And doing a routine is actually not going to improve the sleep. Now, you having a routine might be helpful for you to build your day around and help you be consistent in what you're doing and how you're needing to do it for you to stay calm and comfy in your space and in your home. But it's not necessary for your infant to have routines in order to sleep well. America is one of the countries that uses routines and schedules around sleep, but there are plenty of countries where bedtime routines don't exist and their children still sleep. So it's a cultural construct and one that can be helpful for the adults. But your young infant doesn't care about the routine because as long as their need is getting met, they're fine. Also, for a schedule around sleep, your young infant doesn't need a schedule. Their sleep need is changing way too much from one day to the next. You don't need to worry about the time of night that your infant goes to sleep for bedtime. You will find that things will kind of happen in a consistent way, usually, but almost always as soon as you have noticed a pattern and it has happened long enough that you're aware of it. And you're like, oh, they're kind of going to bed at this time every night, or they're kind of taking a nap at this time every day, is when it's likely going to be ready to shift because sleep needs change so much from day to day in the newborn phase and then are changing so much from week to week in the infant stage that having a consistent schedule for sleep and trying to lock one in really consistently early on is just going to make everybody nuts and everybody crazy. So better to lean into it. Now, again, if you as the adult need a schedule or as you as the adult need a routine, that is absolutely great. Create a schedule and create a routine for yourself, but know that that's not important for your infant. It will be important for your toddler, but it's not important for your infant. Now, sleep schedules start to become more important between 6 to 8 months. That's when the brain is starting to pattern hormonally around sleep, and a consistency in when they go to bed helps make a consistency for how they sleep at night, and a consistency for when they start their day creates a consistency for how they're going to nap throughout the day and spend their daytime. So starting between 6 and 8 months, depending on your particular child and where they are in their process, is when they're going to want to start to have a schedule-based time for sleep versus a wake window based time, but when it's going to be driven more by the clock. Prior to about 6 months, the difference in when your infant needs to sleep and how they need to sleep and how much did they nap and all of that can really vary a ton from one day to the next. So routines and schedules are not necessary for your infant. If you want one, great, but it's not important. You can just enjoy your baby and love on them and meet their needs and follow their cues. Not necessary to create super rigid, strict routines or schedules. You're going to have enough normal daily stuff that has to happen, like changing their diaper, putting them into pajamas, and feeding them before they go to bed, that there's nothing else that needs to be included or you feel like you need to do or have to do in that. So if you would like to learn more about sleep, you can visit my website, patienceparenting.com. I do sleep coaching. I have a sleep program that's coming up that if you sign up for now, you have a chance to get in cheap because it's my first time I'm launching it. And so it's at a lower price point now than it will be before, with a couple of other fun bonuses. So definitely head on over to my site and check that out. But please just lean into the relaxed state. There's enough intensity going on with your infancy and with your infant, and you don't need to overstress about routines and schedules right now. Just enjoy your babe.